How's it going, everybody? My name is Cweemy Boy, and welcome back to the Cweemy Cast. I know it's been a while since I've said those words, but we are back, and we're starting off with a bang. Today we have Entom underscore DP joining us, or just Entom from X or YouTube. Say, hey, man, how's it going?
Hey, I'm Entom. I like Five Nights at Freddy's.
If you're not familiar, Entom is a well-known theorist and creator within the community, and he is here to chat with us about FNaF and among some other things today. So thank you for taking the time to chat with us.
Thank you for inviting me. This is very, very nerve-wracking because nobody's really approached me for something like this before, and I gotta thank you guys for reaching out for it.
No, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
especially with things like this, I mean, it's like the same boat. We kind of when we ask for these types of things a lot of the time, we don't expect like a yes most of the time. Like
Right.
it's there, it's a process, and I understand that. So like when we get the yes, like we get like getting to hear from you and getting to talk to you is something like we're all super excited about. Like I remember FNAF movie stuff and just theories in general. Like I've known of your existence for a while, so it's pretty surreal that I got to talk to you.
That's that's crazy. Because I hear people say things like this all the time, and I don't think like I'm aware of how influential I get, and it kind of it's nerve-wracking to be in a
Yeah.
position like this and hearing it from people.
All right. So I have a few questions that I've gathered from my friends that they wanted me to ask on behalf. So to start us off, I'm going to throw us into those. All right.
All right.
So this one's a fun one. Out of the Frights and Tales book, what is your favorite story?
That's a great question, actually. I that's a good question to start with because I thank you, Charlie.
Charlie.
The the thing with Frights and Tales is I feel like they are two different worlds in a way where the tone that they have is completely different. Um, and I don't think they're necessarily comparable overall to me. It's weird because I think with Frights, I had a lot more enjoyment with the epilogues than with Tales, and it's kind of a flip flop. So it's hard to compare them. But with Frights, I'd say The Man in Room 1280 is uh, my probably, in my opinion, the best short story um, from the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise overall. But what's up there is also um, Pressure from Tales from the Pizzaplex. I really, really like that story. The the one with the spring trap in the role play arena.
Oh, that's actually one of the ones I do. So I'm gonna like self-report real quick. I am not. The only reason is because I have ADHD and cannot read for long periods of time.
Right, I
So
get that.
I have not experienced a lot of Tales or Frights. I
Mhm.
experienced the Silver Eyes. I read that when that first came out. Still, like in my opinion, one of the best
Oh,
like story
I think
like examples of storytelling in the
I
series.
think the Silver Eyes still stands as the best FNAF continuity um, in the franchise, in my opinion. I have both ADHD and autism,
Right.
so that's not really a good combination when it comes to reading. Um, I had the same issue, but what really helped me was actually writing it down, like
Okay.
writing down what I was reading, because what I would be doing is the live reads, right?
Oh yeah,
I
I
would
forgot about those.
I realized after those because I'd be like typing out the things, like typing out the actual quotes from the book. I realized by doing that, it kind of pretty much made me memorize the stories a lot more because I would take the time and recite them myself. And so if that's something I'd recommend outside, because audiobooks, I would recommend audiobooks, but those are very expensive.
Right.
It's like ridiculously expensive.
So, all right, this one's a really easy answer, I feel like. Is
Mhm.
Charlie a good bird?
Yes, she's amazing. She's a great bird.
Have you had any other birds other than Charlie though?
I had one other bird.
Okay.
His name is Echo. He was the first one I
Right.
had. and I got him back in 2019, September 2019,
Okay.
and he was a little blue parakeet, and he was he's a very curious bird. He's very outgoing,
Mm.
and but he got very lonely, um, because the thing with parakeets is they need companions.
Right.
So I decided we should probably get another bird. So about a month after I got Echo, I got Charlie, and they got along pretty well. They're kind of polar opposites of each other actually. Echo was very talkative. He's very outgoing. Charlie, as ironic as she talks as much as she does now, she used to not talk as much. Um, until Echo unfortunately passed away.
Oh,
Uh,
I'm sorry.
I think Echo has been a really big part of, I guess, what drives me overall when it comes to making stuff online, because Echo was kind of he was kind of, because at the time I didn't really have much people to talk to,
Mm.
um, and I kind of looked to Echo as some sort of, I guess, ther- therapy bird in a way. And I think over time, when I started having complications in life, um, a lot of, in the same time period, I had he got sick when I was having a bit of a rough time in life, and I don't think I paid much attention to him. And during that time, I was not really motivated to do much things. Um, I had a lot of ideas. I had a lot of procrastination, but I never actually had the motivation to do any of it. Um, but when Echo passed, that was kind of something that kickstarted, like, okay, you gotta start doing something. You gotta take care of Charlie. There's you can't just sit around and do you know nothing. And I think ever since then I've used that as a reminder. When I feel like I'm in a point where I'm like, I give up on doing stuff. Like, I just, when you get in those moods where you're like, I don't really want to do anything. Like,
Yeah.
when
Sorry.
you're
I'm
right.
like, this is really. I love
Yes.
this. This is
All
amazing.
right.
No, don't be sorry. This is
Uh,
incredible. I'm like choking up right now.
so good.
No.
But even now, like, I always have these moments where it's like I sit down and I write something. Like, if I want to write a script, if I want to come up with a theory, I start writing it down, and then I think like a day or two in, I just suddenly, I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then I move on to the next thing. And then the same thing happens there where I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then it goes through this cycle of like, I'm constantly doing this work, but I'm not getting anything done. I'm just in this cycle of repeating it over and over and over. And in that time, I'm not giving Charlie the attention that she really needs.
Mm.
And that kind of puts me in a situation where I, f- I have some reason to get this done. Because if it's done, I will have an incentive to take a break, spend time with Charlie. Because I look at my birds very closely as pretty much like my own children. I'm very
Yeah.
close to the birds. Um, but yeah, Charlie and Echo have been a really, really big part of my life.
That is
And,
so amazing. I'm like,
and, and I'm very happy, especially with the videos. People are very happy with Charlie being in them. She's kind of been slowly becoming a part of my online persona a bit, and I'm very happy with that because uh, it I in my mind I wanted to give Charlie a better life than Echo had,
right.
and I feel like I'm doing that a lot better by, even if she doesn't know it. She's got a lot of people out there that like her,
Yeah. Oh my
and
gosh.
she's a little birdie.
She's the best birdie.
She is the best birdie.
I did not expect that question to get so wholesome, but I'm so happy it did.
Yeah, I kind of ramble a lot.
No,
That's
it's
pretty
okay.
normal here.
I love that. That's like the best conversation to me. So,
Yeah.
what is a FNAF hot take that you have?
I have a lot of those. um, I I have a lot. I have to actually think about that because I have a lot. Um, See, the thing with me is that the community is constantly shifting opinions,
Right.
and what may be a hot take at one point might not be like one in a few months. Um, I think it really just depends on what is relevant right now, because really that's what most people are focusing
Right.
on. I think my hot take as of right now is I do not think that Garrett is the puppet.
Ooh.
I don't think that he is the puppet.
Okay.
That's something a lot of people think is a pretty hot take. I've seen a lot of my friends online, kind of being like, kind of posting bait, or it's like, I'm so glad Garrett isn't the puppet, and people are like,
What do you mean?
what do you mean? I kind of just have to sit there and I'm like,
Is this /S or /serious?
yeah. uh, I love doing that. Where some people don't know if I'm being serious or not when I'm talking about hot takes. Because I'll just drop something where I'm like, uh, yeah, I think all of Frights is canon. When I said that at the time, people thought I was joking, but I was serious at the time. Like,
Yeah.
but as time goes on, opinions change. Um, but I think what counts as a hot take to me is what's currently relevant right now, because really the whole thing with the FNAF community is it's a hot take versus another hot take.
Right.
So it's hard to really um, determine.
That is honestly a really good way of saying it. I'm gonna let Dong Trope switch over for a few questions because I know he had a few he wanted to ask you. So Dong Trope, you may take the spotlight.
All right.
Oh, cool, sweet. So, my first question is, so this just counts like in all of FNAF, like the books, movies, games, or whatever. But
Mhm.
what would you say is like the scariest concept in the series?
Oh, I love. Oh, that you got some good questions. That's a great question because I have an answer to that. I think the scariest concept that FNAF has introduced, or at least like this, like a story that it's told, is the
Yeah,
idea of something that's constantly following you, and it knows where you are, and it's gonna find you, whatever pace it's at. It's kind of like that
the snail thing,
yeah,
right?
the immortal snail. Yeah, that's what I was gonna bring up. It's that concept, and I think the scariest inclusion of that to me was in the short story 1:35 a.m. With the Ella doll. That story is really
Ooh,
freaky to me. With the constant paranoia of something slowly creeping up on you. I just think it's I I've had nightmares about Candy Cadet.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
oh my God.
Specifically, Candy Cadet. Pretty much the exact thing that I'm talking about, where Candy Cadet would just roll around and trying to follow me wherever I'd go, and I have to move
Oh my
constantly.
god.
It's kind of communicating
Oh,
like
But
and
it
like and
sounds
like
terrifying in
it's
theory.
it's terrifying when you're in the perspective, and it was like living in dreaming inside of Fazbear Fright story,
He's trying to
because
go to sleep and hearing, I'm going to
dang.
tell you a story.
yeah, that's exactly what it was about. I would always hear him,
Oh
like
my
when he'd be
god.
nearby. I remember the sheer panic of just having to move.
That's just
And
like
Yeah,
anytime
that's like a
that's brought up in
really
a game now, I'd just be like, oh no, Candy
yeah,
Cat.
every time I see
that's
Candy
like a
Cadet,
really cool thing to be like scared of,
yeah,
if that makes sense.
because it's like this constant y- like omnipresence that's there. And
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's the most terrifying thing.
It's kind of like this thing that like you have there's no say in anything. It's just gonna happen.
It's there, but you
Like at any point.
You just
Yeah.
gotta deal with it.
it's there, but you don't know how it's there. It's beyond where you can reach. I think Fetch did a really good job with that too.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of like when somebody knows they're gonna die,
hmm
but you just don't know at what point. Like like when you're sick or something like that.
Yeah, I think
I bet that feels similar.
even I think that can apply to something like the hide and seek story with the guy in Shadow Bonnie with the shadow constantly following him. I think that was a really great story. But yeah, that is the scariest concept FNAF has introduced to me.
Nice, nice. All right, so my second question, um, what do you think makes like a good FNAF fan game?
A good FNAF fan game. That's a hard one because I actually do not pay much attention to the fan game scene.
Oh, that's
Um,
actually that's a
yeah,
little surprising to me.
yeah. I have not been paying attention to fan games ever. God, I can't even remember. It was it was
That's pretty fair.
It is fair though, yeah.
it was years ago that I stopped paying attention. But I think an answer I can give is what I think would be a unique fan game is I think there should be more arcadey type games, really. I don't know if that's a good answer because like you asked
I can understand where you're coming from though, because like
Yeah.
it
yeah.
personally saying like the way I see that is like, for example, when going back, when Scott gave us the option with FNAF 6 to get
Mhm.
Ultimate Custom Night or or the Endless Tycoon, I personally wanted the Endless Tycoon.
Yeah.
Really?
I really wanted the Endless Tycoon.
I actually wanted Ultimate Custom Night, but looking back, I prefer. I wish we got the Ultimate Tycoon because Tycoon is something that I really want to see. I'm very surprised there isn't a fan game about it yet.
I'm pretty sure wasn't Ivan G making one. Well,
Yeah,
you probably. I'm pretty sure Ivan G, the guy who made Jolly, was doing one a long
yeah,
time ago.
I played that, and
Yeah.
I really liked it because it had the style of um the kind of the beginning, the troll part of Pizza Sim.
Right.
But I think if I were to say overall, what makes a good fan game is kind of finding a middle point because the most iconic fan games when you look at them, uh, Five Nights at Candy's, Pop Goes, The Joy of Creation. Something I notice about them is that they're all this middle point where they kind of don't completely stray far from what Five Nights at Freddy's as a universe and its like original characters are, but it kind of utilizes it in a way.
Yeah.
It's
I
basically a
agree
fan,
with that.
it's basically a fan fiction because if you, it's all of them. They're either based within the FNAF universe or they have the FNAF universe characters. And I
Right.
think
I agree with that wholeheartedly, honestly.
Yeah.
because I think there are a lot of fan games now that, while they aren't necessarily bad, they stray a bit too far from
The source
again,
material and such.
yeah, source material. That it's kind of hard to call it a FNAF fan game and more of like this is a game with the FNAF formula.
Honestly, that is I do see, so that could be taken because a lot of things I see happening quite often within the FNAF fan game community is that a lot of the time something will start as a FNAF fan game and then halfway through development they're like, wait, this is strayed too far. This is no longer a FNAF fan game. So they completely change
Yeah.
it and like I don't know. Not that's like a bad thing.
That actually reminds me, something I will say that does help a fan game more than people may realize.
Mhm.
If you're working on a fan game, do not announce it as soon as you start working on it. Do not show,
Yes.
there are a lot of fan
Oh,
games
that is such a good point.
that show everything like while it is not even completely done. And it's unfortunate because there are a lot of really cool looking fan games that just build up hype and don't really get finished over time because I feel like the developers ride so much on that hype where it's like, okay, we deserve to get a break now that we've teased something, and it kind of, because I'm really the same way when it comes to working with stuff.
Right.
You wished you could show something, but you show it too early, and it ends up kind of biting you back in the long time.
Yeah.
And I think if developers took their time more with that and revealed things when things actually were kind of a sustainable build, then fan games would come out a lot better, like a lot more refined than they are now.
I wholeheartedly agree.
What are your thoughts on Scott's earlier works? Like,
Ooh.
his stuff before FNaF.
It's very interesting because, in a way, when I look at Scott's work, I kind of look at it in the way of like this is, I don't mean to be like throwing shade or anything by this, but this is like
Yeah.
someone who's very inexperienced.
Oh yeah.
This is like
Oh, definitely.
like a casual like student. This is a casual person just making whatever, and it's gonna start out as subpar. And when I look at his early work like that and how little attention they got, it kind of reminds me of me a little bit, where you just, or just really anyone like who starts out small, they're gonna continue pushing for it. And
Yeah.
I think seeing Scott's, it's interesting with Scott's early work because you can see where the soul of Scott, still retains to its day. There's just something within, his work that it's either the hard cloud, the animation style, it's just over time it feels like watching an egg hatch, really. And it's interesting because a lot of Scott's early work are actually very horrifying to
Yeah.
look at. The I don't know if you've seen the Birdville demos.
I've just recently been seeing those because of Philip
Yeah.
Rob.
Yeah, and they're kind of creepy, and they're very low frame rate. It's very interesting because it feels like he was always destined for making something that's creepy. And I think that's the coolest thing about it is he didn't intend things to go the way that you know they went, but he stuck with them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that to me just makes me realize that's probably how everyone I know, and even myself included, are gonna end up in life a lot. Is we're gonna end up at a crossroad where it's like, okay, you unintentionally did something, and you've unintentionally done it for so long. Why don't you just go with it? And
That's a fantastic point.
I think that really worked out for Scott, especially.
So honestly, I think that could be used to like everybody as advice. Like if you want to work on something, work on it. Don't let somebody's like words push what you want to do.
Especially Scott, he's very inspirational because he's running the whole like regardless of like the criticism you may give him for
Right.
how he's running the franchise. He is one guy handling every single aspect of this franchise.
Yeah.
Fit his vision, and that is an artist's dream, and that is something incredible. And all of it really started out with him just pretty much, let's just go with it.
Yeah.
And then it happens.
Yeah.
Like let's see what happens. Let's mess
See
around.
what happens.
I very much so agree with that.
Dude, I freaking love your outlook on stuff. Seriously, like,
Thank you.
wow.
No, like this has been. I'm gonna be honest. I'm like very inspired.
Yeah, same here.
I like to talk a lot.
No, yeah, I'm glad. This is perfect.
Nah, but like, dude, you just have like a way with the words.
Yeah.
I like I like looking at life in a very like I'm a very artistic person.
Yeah.
One of my main inspirations was Freddie Mercury and how
Oh,
in his early life, a lot of what drove him in creating things was he looked at his life as kind of like living in his own story. And if you look at life in itself as like something artistic, you will find a lot of really cool things. You have really neat perspectives, and even if you don't realize they'll just branch out.
That's so freaking awesome. Oh my god.
so these are more so just like topics more than questions now that I figured we could like touch on a little bit. So carrying on, how would you like your time in the FNaF community? When did you start within the FNaF community? Because I can't really remember personally.
Well, I've been a fan of the franchise ever since the first game came out.
Right.
But I started getting involved in the community in about, I'd say, 2017. Um, I went under a different username. It was, before we started recording, you were talking about usernames and all.
Hmm.
My old username was Godzilla813. And
I
'cause I
love
really
that.
I really liked Godzilla, and I would post the first thing that actually kicked off like as part of doing something in the FNAF community was when when FNAF 6 came out, and I was the first one to upload the ending to YouTube,
Oh.
and that was that was crazy to see. Um, and ever since then, I kind of just kept going deeper and deeper, because right after that, the fourth closet came out, and I read that early to some people,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah, because that leaked on Amazon.
I forgot about that. Because didn't you email them about like errors? Or
Yeah,
was that a different book?
it was a different book. It was the graphic novel
Ah.
first one. But I think when I really started, really started doing things was in 2019. I got into the pit early.
Yes, I remember
I,
this. This
I
is where
got
I
it.
started getting familiar with you.
Yeah, that was like where everything began for me. Because I the reason it's funny because I found that book on complete accident. That it was I was searching it up on Google, and it was this little kind of like a thrift book marketplace, and it was like on the Google search result, and I had the book on it, and I clicked on it, and it said it was in stock, but this was like 4 months before release.
Oh.
I was like, I looked into it more, and I was like, do I risk it? Do I buy this? Is this a scam? I waited 2 days, and I opened the package, and I was taken away that it was real. It is just the rush of having like it was like discovering, like opening Pandora's box at the time. I've had
Yeah, like you're opening pirate treasure.
yeah, that's like something that's a big part of being a FNAF fan for me. Is just feeling that
Like the excitement.
payoff, the excitement and payoff of it. And that carries into just not just theories, but looking for things like rare collectibles, rare
Yeah.
books, getting early. And people think that the books just come to me, and that I get. No, I look for them. I look for them, and because I'm very dedicated and excited, and I end up finding them, and that was like the next stage of where things started getting really big for me was when I live read the first
Yes.
5 Tales from the Pizza Plagues books. That was very exciting. And then the Mimic Theory came out, and
Oh boy. That
that
was a time.
that theory brought me here. That creator brought me to having the platform I have now, and it's crazy that it was
It all comes
over
back
a
to the
year.
mimic.
It all comes back to that. That whole thing could not have gone perfectly. Could not have gone even more perfectly than it did. Just like the time.
That was just everything falling into place. That was
everything. It was too perfect. Like the mimic coming in ruin a few months later. It, it I couldn't believe it.
Ruin. Ruin is crazy to me because I'm so confused, or not even confused. I'm so interested, not even just on Ruin, but I mean, like everybody's really interested about security breaches, like development history, because literally half the game's gone.
Yeah.
But like Ruin is really interesting to me because specifically, like we had the one different model. There's like obviously the endings that are, and just everything about it was just like, whoa. The mimic finally. I remember the night Ruin came out, I stayed up with my friends and we were all gonna stream together, but we were all gonna like deafen so we didn't spoil each other. So we are gonna hang out in a call and constantly be like, all right, so we're here at the same spot. This is crazy. Like,
That's awesome.
Like I remember when we finally like I stayed off of everything. This was probably like the first non-spoiler FNaF experience I had since like it'd been a while at that point. So like I fully went into it blind, and I was like, when the mimic finally came out, I was like, holy shit, this is gonna start so much bullshit.
No, I almost had Ruin completely spoiler free for me. It was the night before the game came out, and it was the worst possible spoiler ever.
Oh no.
Someone was and it was before like Ruin officially came out, but they left things in the game file.
Right. Because there
And-
was like the one patch before, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And someone found the AI blueprint for the mimic, and they messaged me about it, and I saw it at first, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Because like I was upset. I was upset.
Like what?
Like, why would you send me this? But I just pushed it. I pushed it out of my head, and it really didn't ruin the experience for me because regardless, a part of me knew ever since the trailer came out, we are going to see the mimic in this.
Yeah.
And it happening, nothing could have changed the reaction I had because the mimic. I still can't believe that it's there. Like that was crazy. Just seeing that, nothing like that has ever happened for the FNaF franchise.
No, because there was the constant. It was in a time of like, I mean, like we're still in somewhat of a time, but I think it's really getting with Into the Pit game coming out. It's finally going away more. But that was in such a time where people were so split and so against the books being canon because it would change things, and then bam.
And not even like a reference, straight up the character from the books plopped into the game. It was crazy.
They were just like, here it is, and then I remember like there were still points where people were like, it's not the mimic, and then they went into like Tetrabit made his video where he went into the lost bits, and there was like mimic entrance, and it's like, oh my god.
And the soundtrack is called Mimic Chase.
Yeah.
As well.
So people were like, oh, but no, I'm glad.
I remember it was a week before Ruin came out. So there's this it was Brian from Steel Wool.
Yes.
He liked this tweet about the mimic where it was like, I think it was ID Fantasy where she was talking about let's be nice if the mimic is in the game or not. And he liked that post. And I don't know why, just like it didn't really mean anything that he liked it, but it was like the acknowledgement
of the mimic. That's where it's like, whoa.
It's like, whoa. And then a week later, it's there.
There's the mimic. Enter mimic.
Enter mimic. Man. I lost my mind during that cutscene. I didn't even see Roxanne. Like
It's like Roxanne
I
sacrifices everything, but it's just
yeah, I did not see that. I was too focused on it.
oh my
It's
gosh, that's so
I
funny though.
it's awesome. I love runes.
It's like Roxanne sacrifices herself. I don't care the memory.
That's exactly how I was feeling.
This next little topic I really want to talk about because I've struggled and I know a lot of other people often struggle, like even in this friend group. Like I said, me, Flame, and Dong Trope have known each other for a really long time. We've all kind of like
Yeah.
helped each other through life, gone through life, experienced life together. So especially with somebody who has experienced things firsthand, what would you suggest about separating your online life from your real life and just kind of like healthy balance, you know?
See, the thing with me is I completely separate my IRL self from my online self, where I see Entom as a completely different person than who I am in real life. See that's a bit of a hard question because I am still trying to retain that healthy balance,
Right.
but I think at least from my experience, the best way to start is begin separating your real life from online. And I mean, it's fine to talk about friends online, like talk to friends online about real life stuff. But I don't know. With me, it's something really hard to because I haven't really thought much into it until
Right.
recently. Um, yeah, that's still something I'm trying to figure out myself. Doug was great. He's
He is I'm really glad that we have somebody like Dako in the community.
yeah.
He is
I'm
such an incredible soul. I'm glad that we have a lot of people in this community, but Dako is one of
Doug
the
is probably my biggest inspiration of what I I I want to become really
yeah.
like in the community. I don't think there will ever be someone like Daco, but having a figure like that is just awesome because he's not just sticking to one thing. He's doing whatever he wants.
Yeah.
He's making songs. He's making. I mean, he's doing the short films that he was doing for a while.
Oh yeah. He's doing
Uh,
Hex.
he's doing Hex. He's doing many things. That's something that I kind of want to do. Like I don't want to be just one. I just want to be a fan, and that's what I want my job to be. Just be a fan overall. Just enjoy being a fan, really.
Yeah. No, that's the one thing that like I love the most about FNAF is just like cuz like we were talking about a little bit earlier like the excitement of like finding like the books early and stuff. Like even that same excitement like when something gets teased for the first time. Like the obvious thing is to like way back to Scott Games.
Oh yeah.
And every time we got a teaser from Scott Games, it was crazy. Like it
Bro,
was
those
like
went so hard.
Nerve wracking.
I remember multiple times there was like just a lucky occasion that on my birthday there was a new Scott Games teaser and I was like, "Whoa! Birthday present from Scott Coffin." There's like I remember when I was really young and really dumb, there was a Twitter account and I asked this recently on FNAF Twitter because I wanted to know if I was just crazy or not. But you might have some input on this. I don't expect you to though. There was an account a really long time ago that went by the name of Scott underscore Cawthorn, and it claimed to be Scott Cawthon for a long time.
Was it on Instagram?
I think it was Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was it the one that he posted about?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yep. So there was a point where my young dumb self thought I spoke to Scott Cawthon. I was like, Dad, look. I talked to the guy who made FNAF. He was like, whoa.
Hey, I mean, when I was in 2014, I vividly remember drawing, making little, very, crappy looking drawings of my concept for FNAF 3.
Mm-hmm.
I asked my mom if she could send it to Scott Koff on Instagram, and it was uh, he responded, but it was not the real Scott Cawthon. It was one of many fake Instagram accounts.
Yup.
So I'm sure a lot of people have had that.
But yeah, no. I was like, are you serious? But like, yeah, no, I also remember when I was in 6th grade when FNaF 4 was being teased. That's insane to me. I'm 20 now, about to be 21. But
I'm older than you.
yeah.
Wow, I thought you guys were older than me.
Flame is 21, Dongtrope is 22?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm turning. Oh, well, I'm not the oldest. I'm turning. I'm turning 22 in a few months.
Yeah, I'm the baby of this group, I guess. But I remember I went to school the one day and I was trying to tell my one friend, I was like, there's going to be another FNaF game, I think. And it was the teaser of the Freddy hat on the stage with the spotlight. And I drew it in class to like show them because we couldn't have phones or anything. So I drew them a picture and then they went home and texted me a picture of Scott Games. By that time, the hat was gone. He had done the switch. And so my friend's like, you fucking lied to me. And I'm like, no, I swear to God.
There's no hat.
I was like, it's just I was like, I swear to God, there was a hat there. And yeah, so for the next few days, I thought I was crazy until we finally got the Nightmare Freddy picture.
The same thing, something similar happened to me. I mean, it not really, but I remember having a similar experience where it was when Sister Location was coming out. And
Right.
I was watching something on YouTube that it was I didn't have headphones at the time, and my parents didn't like YouTubers saying curse words.
Oh, okay, yeah.
When my mom came in, what I usually do is I like open a new tab and I go to a random site pretending I'm doing something, not watching YouTube.
Yeah.
And
It's like hiding the DS.
Yeah. I did that, but I opened up scottgames.com, and when I opened it up, I saw entered, and it caught me off guard. I was like, "Whoa!" right as she came in, and I was like, "I did not plan for that."
It's like, what's going on? There's a new FNaF teaser.
Yeah.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
genuine excitement, so she had no suspicion.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I missed the Scott Games teasers.
I do too.
Me too.
I hope someday we get something in the same vein. I don't know if
Closest to
know.
that was Ruin
this.
TV.
Yeah, I was gonna say the security breach site,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I feel like I was really sad. I will not lie. Like I was really happy that we got like the Mega Cat Studio thing for some like Into the Pit stuff. But I said this. I was like, it was a fun April Fool's. Don't get me wrong. But I was like, it's ever since Scott's kind of taken a step back. It's been like I'm like, there's not really a FNaF April Fool's anymore, and I was really sad about it this year. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, dude, there's no Freddy in space. There's no cats in FNaF world. There's like, like I was so sad. There's no fucking what was the fake FNaF synopsis? Remember that one?
Oh yeah, the FNAF movie synopsis. Where's like the apocalypse.
And then like troll games are still like a thing, but not to the extent they used to be. I miss like FNaF World Halloween Edition. I thought that game was awesome. I'm not gonna lie, that game was fun.
I forgot all about that.
That was like an actual
There was so
fun.
much effort into that.
Yeah, that was like an entire little game.
That was like the blueprint for what would become the traditional
Yeah,
Freddy in Space 2 type game.
exactly. Because after that, it was just actual like games and not just reskins. Like
Yeah.
there is no pause button with Freddy's head.
That was funny.
I miss Lozy Hacks too.
Oh God, Law's Hacks, yeah. I completely forgot that because I'm so used to him in Freddy in Space 2.
Oh yeah.
The evil guy. But I completely forget sometimes that
He used to be Evil Scott.
is just evil Scott.
Oh, I miss the days. I hope they come back at some point. I'm sure we'll get different iterations at some point, but I don't think it'll ever be the same.
Yeah, and I think the mystery there back then, and it's not around as much anymore.
It also might just be like some of it might also be the fact that we are getting a little older because it's like, oh, we can
That's
see
it.
through some of it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
When there's
Man.
big stuff, I'm still like, I remember when we first saw when Jason Blum was like saying finally we're gonna see something last year. I was walking around. I was on vacation when he announced that like we have our script. Emma Tammy's our director. We're filming blah 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 February. I was walking around like the boardwalk and I see my phone. I got the notification. I literally screamed. And I got stared at by a group of people. My family was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, FNaF movie, it's happening."
That's so real.
I was like, Jim Henson. I was like, Jim Henson. And they were like, "What about Jim Henson?" I was like, "They're making the robots."
That's awesome.
I was like, I can never go out in public again. It's like, this is horrible. After that, I was like, just need to stay in the hotel room. So this is something I'm actually really curious about because I saw you delve into some other stuff like on your little hiatus that you were on, if we can call it that, I guess. But you were like you were super into Starfield. What else
yeah.
like gaming do you like to play other than FNaF?
I'm really I'm really into a lot of like science fiction type stuff.
Okay.
And I think now that I really think about it, that's probably part of the reason why I like FNaF so much. 'Cause
Yeah.
a lot of the science fiction's part of it. But I'm kind of a mixed bag. But mainly I kind of go through phases.
Right.
Like right now, I'm replaying Cyberpunk because I never got around to playing the Phantom Liberty DLC. And a lot of games that I like dynamic games like open world RPGs.
Yeah.
I like dynamic games that kind of go like the world feels alive really.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I don't mind playing an arcade game, but games where it's like fully dynamic, where
Like you feel like
it's
you're in the world.
yeah, like it's a thinking, breathing world. That I really like games like that. I like immersive games like that.
I actually have to play more RPG like open world type stuff. Dongtrope has like slowly been getting me into more stuff. We just recently started playing. I mean, like it's not super comparable. We just started playing Risk of Rain a lot
Oh, dude,
recently.
I love that game.
And
Never-
that's, oh my gosh, like never hearing about it much, just hearing about friends playing it. Like we got on. It's like one of those games kind of like Helldivers where it's like it's like a while to go through like a round, but it's worth it because you're like instantly gaining stuff. You're killing people with your friends, just like monsters and stuff. But like we just sat there for like an hour or two that night and just played, and it was one of those things where like I looked at the clock and I was like, it's been 2 hours, and I didn't even feel like it.
Yeah, that's when you know a game is good. When you're
Yeah.
playing it and it just the time passes by and you don't realize it.
But yeah, so like Starfield, you were super into. Like,
Oh,
how was Starfield?
I
So I know you had a whole experience with that game.
Starfield was at a time where I was still recovering from a really bad mental breakdown.
Right.
And that the story of that game kind of because you could say whatever you want about the gameplay.
Mhm.
But the story had one of the most interesting storylines to a game I've ever seen because it made me made me realize how there's just the thought of infinite universe. Does none of you guys mind Starfield spoilers, right?
No, you're.
I don't mind.
So the whole twist of Starfield is that there's the aliens that you see that you're trying to contact with are actually you from different universes, and it's well not necessarily you from different universes, but people that you know from the game, like the characters you play with in the game,
Right.
from different universes where they have lived through this exact same scenario.
Oh shit.
And
Oh.
the whole plot of the game is that you're collecting these artifacts to build this gateway, and you don't know what it's being built for. And there's this higher alien race that's trying to stop you. Well, you learn by the end of it, they're not actually aliens, they're humans from a different universe, and it's specifically people that you know. And what you are building is actually a gateway to the next universe. And once that is built, you become a higher being from a human, and you become what is called a starborn. And that's what those characters are. And there's this one scene where it was like, there's this one particular character that dies, right?
Right.
And when you first like get to see the starborn, because their faces are like completely obscured in the game, their like faces are distorted, and they reveal who they truly are. And my jaw dropped, because the helmet, like it like the darkness like slowly stopped being obscured, and it was the face of the character that like just died.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it was like, yeah, I am this person from another universe, and we need those artifacts because we want to keep going and getting higher and higher. And if you were to complete it yourself and go through, the portal, it would completely start the game over from the beginning, but your stats would be the same, and the story would continue as it did, but there would be differences. You are basically going through a loop over and over.
Holy shit.
That
And
sounds so cool.
and
Like, you might have
really-
actually just sold me on this game. I'm not gonna
yeah.
lie.
And here's the thing: you can, when you go through this universe and you go to the next, it's called New Game Plus, and you know how games have New Game Plus?
Yes.
That is
Yeah.
what the New Game Plus is. It fits into the plot.
Oh
Oh,
my
that's so cool.
gosh.
Transcend, and you go to the next
The
parallel
next.
universe.
Oh my god. That's so cool.
And when you keep going, there the only thing that changes is that you can replay through the same exact stories, same exact missions, but there will be one thing that remembers, and it is the starborn, because they are always trying to fight for the end of the race, basically trying to get to the next.
Wow.
And what really sold it on me was because I had built so much, and I had so much like, so much story, so much exploration in the universe that I had, that when I had the opportunity to be like, okay, you have all the pieces now, and if you go to this next universe, you will continue, but it will not be the same. Everything that you had prior will not be there. Every person that you knew will not be there. You will be meeting them again, and they will not remember you.
Holy shit.
You would have to meet them all
Dude.
over again. And that realizing that, I was like, what the fuck, man? I was like, I was stuck, because I was having an existential crisis at the time. And I was like, the importance of one reality stood out to me in that game, because the whole theme of the game was trying to understand what what encompasses life overall, and why are we here, really. And the whole point was, in Starborn, the humans just kept exploring because they wanted to figure out what was going on with the universe around them. And I mean, that's something we're doing now. But
Wow.
This is insane.
yeah, and one of the things was, you with how we are now, we have such a limited understanding of the universe. But somehow, at the same time, we know so much that we can, come to the understanding that there is more. And that's very strange to me. It's something very strange to me. And another really interesting idea it poses was, a huge part of the game is it's left up into interpretation on if there is a God or not. really, and
Right.
that's really big topic because in the game there's multiple different like religions for different factions, but every single religion in that game it has a piece it has a piece of its own story that tells like a similar tale. And the reason why you find out what the Starborn are is because you take pieces from every single interpretation of these different religions and factions, and you if you view them in multiple different perspectives, it makes you realize like why are we here. And
Yeah.
that just really stood out to me, that there's like the concept that there, like regardless, like if you believe in a god or not, it's like there is gravity. Like a huge part of the game is gravity. Gravity shapes worlds, gravity shapes life,
It shapes
gravity,
like everything.
yeah, gravity shapes everything. And something that blew my mind was in the game, this guy talks about, and he's saying that a huge contradiction with the human thought process is how we know something is out there and we're trying to find it, but at the same time we feel it. You know what I mean? Like
Like you
it's
can,
like this
yeah.
whole, yeah, like holy energy, really. That's the way to describe it. The way to describe it would be like gravity. Gravity is everywhere, but at the same time it's kind of, it's like that is what reality is. And it's just really interesting to me. Just
I think I need to play this game now. You've like
it's
basically just sold me
yeah,
on it through this whole
it's a really good story. It's a really good story. I really liked it.
long
I
trip. I
really
know what we're doing when we hang out again.
Oh, definitely.
It's a very boring game at times because a lot of the worlds are empty, which I
Right.
guess it's realistic.
Ah,
But that was another thing. I had explored so many worlds, and I was at a time where it was like I felt very insignificant. And going through that game, seeing a bunch of alien life, and even if there like isn't aliens in reality, it was just like seeing that, in a game. It was like humans came up with this concept. They created this world, even if it's like, even if out there really isn't aliens. In some way, in our minds, we created aliens, and
Right.
we create our own universes, and that was the whole thing with Starfield for me, because I was in a universe where I had the chance to go somewhere else
And do
and
whatever you want at that point.
start over again. Yeah, start over again and do whatever you want and leave whatever problem you had in the previous, session. But I didn't want to, because it felt wrong to me just leaving everything behind and being the one that would remember everything, and everyone wouldn't, and you would have to go through all of it again. It just that really helped me a lot, and it really changed me with a different outlook. I really like games like that, games that have a very deep story to it.
Right. No, those games are amazing. Nah, that's definitely on my list now. That is like alone has sold me. But
It's a really good game.
um honestly, that is like all that I had. So I at this point I want to like throw things over to you so you can like if you have anything you want to promote at the time or anything you want to say, just go for it. The floor is yours.
Um, I'm trying to work on a lot of things. I'm right now. I'm trying to work on a William Afton characterization video, like a character analysis video. I've been working on that for like the past month, on and off, and I'm really really excited for it.
I remember
I haven't
seeing some
even,
talk about that.
yeah, I haven't even recorded it yet. I'm still writing, but other than that, it's just crazy being here. Thank you guys.
No, like
Uh,
No
thank you.
problem.
just overall having a voice, like finally being able to put your voice out there is something that I've always wanted to do. And not only has the community helped me with that, but just sitting down and talking to people like this, it's really helpful. Like, and I think that's something a lot of people don't realize about podcasts like this, is that it's it's like a real one-on-one talk. No
Yeah.
no scripting, no, it's just let's talk,
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
I want to thank you for that.
of
And
course. I'm so happy that we finally got the time to sit down and talk, because I know there was a bunch of stuff that because we were
Yeah.
gonna talk a while ago, but then
Yeah.
but it was entirely valid, all worth the wait. I'm so like thank you, like for real.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that like we got to sit down.
This
Thank
was
you.
really
It-
inspiring.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
thank you.
Seriously, dude.
Yeah, it makes me very happy hearing that. I've always wanted to be someone that inspires people.
well,
And
you
I'm
have
glad
and
that's-
continue to do that. So
Thank you.
of course, but
Mm,
ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Please go follow Entom on Twitter at Entom_DP and go sub to him on YouTube as well. Is your YouTube the same? It's just Entom?
yeah, it's Entom DP. With an
Gotcha.
underscore on
So
it.
yeah, go check out Entom. His links are in the description. And again, thanks so much, Entom, for joining us on this week's episode.
Thank you guys.
And we will see you guys later. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.